Imagine spending hours playing video games in your room and hearing everyone call it a waste of time. Now imagine turning that so-called waste of time into a career worth millions. Sounds impossible, right? Well, it happened to me. And this is my story. I grew up in a small, cramped apartment where every dollar mattered. My parents worked multiple jobs, and while they didn't say it, I knew they disapproved of how much time I spent playing video games. But for me, it wasn't just about gaming. It was an escape from the harsh reality of life. Bills piling up, constant stress, and little room for dreams. I wasn't popular in school. I didn't excel in sports or academics, and I felt invisible most of the time. But when I played games, I felt alive. Whether it was leading my team to victory or conquering virtual worlds, gaming made me feel like I was worth something. When I graduated high school, gaming was still just a hobby, a way to escape the monotony of everyday life. But as the years went by, it became more than that. It was my passion, my safe space, and the one thing that made me feel alive. I spent hours perfecting my skills, diving into tournaments, and exploring new strategies. But to everyone around me, it was a waste of time. The criticism started small. My parents would make passing comments like, "Still playing that game?" or "Don't you think you should be focusing on something more productive?" I brushed it off, telling myself they didn't understand. But the comments grew sharper as I got older. By the time I was 23, the subtle disapproval had turned into outright frustration. "You're 23 years old, living in our house, playing video games all day. What are you doing with your life?" My dad snapped one evening as I sat at my computer. His words stung because deep down I didn't have an answer. It wasn't just my parents. My friends, those I'd grown up gaming with, started moving on. They graduated from college, landed jobs, and posted pictures of their new apartments, vacations, and engagements. I scrolled through social media, watching their lives unfold, while I was stuck in the same place I'd always been. At work, things weren't much better. I had a part-time job at a convenience store, where I spent long hours restocking shelves and ringing up customers who barely looked at me. My coworkers, most of whom were younger than me, would joke about how I was the old guy who still didn't have his life together. One night, after a particularly grueling shift, a coworker asked me, "So what's your plan? Are you just going to stay here forever?" His tone wasn't malicious, but it cut me deeply. I didn't have a plan, and that realization weighed on me more than I wanted to admit. The worst part, though, was the isolation. Gaming, which had once been a source of joy, began to feel like a guilty pleasure. Every time I picked up the controller, I heard my dad's voice in my head. "When are you going to grow up?" Friends I used to play with stopped logging on, too busy with their new responsibilities to spend hours online. Even the gaming community, where I once felt so connected, started to feel distant. There were moments when I wondered if they were right. Was I wasting my time? Should I give up on gaming and focus on real life? The doubts crept in, slowly eroding the confidence I'd once had in myself. One evening, after my dad's latest outburst, I sat in my room, staring at the pile of bills on my desk. My savings were dwindling, my job barely paid enough to cover my car insurance, and my dreams of making something out of gaming felt laughable. I turned off my console and lay in bed, wondering if I'd made a mistake by holding on to this passion for so long. The turning point came when I overheard a conversation between my parents. My mom, ever the optimist, said, "He just needs time to figure things out." But my dad, frustrated, replied, "Time? He's 23. How much more time does he need?" Those words stayed with me for days. I started to believe them. Maybe they were right. Maybe it was time to give up, sell my console, and focus on finding a real job. But every time I thought about letting go of gaming, a part of me resisted. There was a night I'll never forget. It was past midnight, and I was sitting in front of my computer, scrolling through a gaming forum I used to frequent. Someone had posted a thread titled, "Does anyone else feel like gaming is their only escape?" As I read through the replies, I saw dozens of people sharing stories similar to mine, feeling stuck, misunderstood, and judged for loving something that made them happy. One comment stood out. If gaming is your passion, don't let anyone tell you it's a waste of time. The world is full of people who've turned their passions into careers. Why not you? It was a simple comment, but it struck a chord. Why not me? I couldn't stop thinking about it. Sure, the odds were against me. Sure, the people around me didn't believe in me. But what if I could prove them wrong? That night, for the first time in a long time, I felt a spark of hope. I didn't know how I was going to make it happen, but I knew one thing. I wasn't ready to give up. One day, everything changed. I was scrolling through social media when I stumbled upon a story about a gamer who had just signed a multi-million-dollar sponsorship deal. He wasn't a professional athlete, a tech genius, or someone with connections. He was just a regular guy who loved gaming. Something clicked in my mind. If he could do it, why couldn't I? I decided to take a leap of faith. I saved up and invested in better streaming equipment. I studied successful gamers, how they played, how they engaged with their audience, and how they marketed themselves. I started streaming regularly, often late into the night after work, and created a YouTube channel where I shared tips, tricks, and funny gaming moments. At first, no one watched. My live streams had 2 or 3 viewers, and most of them were bots. But I didn't give up. Slowly, I started to build a small but loyal community. The journey wasn't easy. I often had to choose between streaming and sleeping, between upgrading my equipment and paying my bills. My parents still didn't believe in me, and my coworkers thought I was wasting my time. There were nights when I wanted to quit. Once, I streamed for 7 hours straight, and my internet cut out right before a big moment. Another time, I accidentally deleted an entire video I'd spent days editing. But for every failure, there was a small victory, a new subscriber, a funny comment from a viewer, or a message saying, "You're the reason I started playing this game again." The breakthrough came a year later. I uploaded a video titled, "Epic Comeback Winning the Unwinnable Match," and it went viral. Overnight, my channel gained thousands of subscribers. Brands started reaching out for sponsorships, and gaming tournaments invited me to participate. I quit my convenience store job and went full-time as a content creator. It was terrifying and exhilarating all at once. For the first time, I was making money doing something I loved. As my following grew, I expanded my content. I collaborated with other creators, launched a line of gaming merchandise, and started hosting charity streams. My parents, who once thought gaming was a dead end, became my biggest supporters, proudly telling their friends about their famous gamer son. But it wasn't just about the money or the fame. I used my platform to inspire others who felt stuck or underestimated. I wanted to show people that it's never too late to chase your dreams, no matter how unconventional they might seem. And here I am today, a kid who once felt like a nobody, now living a dream I didn't even know was possible. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this: never let anyone tell you your passion isn't worth pursuing. If my story inspired you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more amazing journeys. And remember, your big break could be just one decision away. Stay tuned for our next video, another tale of turning dreams into reality.